What's up, y'all? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, no sugar added. And as you know, we always try to find the best people on the planet to bring them on here to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. And today I found Mary Henderson. I'm so glad she's here because I know a lot of you guys are like these online business and entrepreneurs, so you're going to have a lot of fun. So she is an internationally recognized personal branding and digital business specialist. See, I told you. She helps service-based business owners become the authority in their niche and their industry. So, Mary, I really wanted you here because of the fact that I do have a really great audience and a lot of great, clients and stuff that are all service-based. So, before we get into the nitty-gritties of Mary, tell us a little bit more about who you are, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Neena. Thank you so much for having me. Well, first of all, I'm from Australia and I live in Melbourne. So that's the first thing off the bat. Absolutely. And, you're absolutely right. I work with industry experts, predominantly people that have accumulated a minimum of 10,000 hours of their knowledge, wisdom, and skill set. And I convert that into a brand, a personal brand, and also typically a coaching or a consulting business, and more importantly, an online coaching business. And that's essentially what I do as my vocation. But I think the most important thing about my story, Neena, is that, I get to call what I can do with ease and grace my vocation. And hopefully we can touch on that in this interview today.
Yeah, I would like to touch on that. I also want to touch on, why you got into this industry, right? Because I'm not sure what you did before, so I would love to get into that. Like, who were you before the Mary you are today? And then kind of like your transition and how you became, leading people into their personal branding. So who was Mary? Like, what were you about before?
Well, personal branding for me actually started in year 2000. That was 22 years ago. That's when that sliding door moment happened. So I started my career in corporate, and then around 2000, that was sort of when I was starting to climb up the ranks in the tech industry. And remembering year 2000, that the whole world was supposed to shut down.
Yeah. We're all waiting for it, Mary.
I was in the thick of that and nothing happened. In fact, it was so exciting. So I was in an industry that was just booming. It was thriving. It was exciting. And I just was at the right place at the right time. I had an amazing opportunity to build a tech or a portfolio within a tech business that was a declining $8 million. And I converted that into a $22 million business in 18 months. Now, that's a very important start to my story, or origin to my story, because it was that position opened up this notion around personal branding. I was in a situation, I left that meeting, I realized, oh my God, I've got an opportunity here. There is a sliding door moment. I either do what everyone else would do and try and just walk an uphill battle, or I solve this complex problem, put my heart and soul into it, and then build a brand around it. It's exactly what I did. And so, because I knew if I could do that, Neena, that I would be able to command my own demand. And I was very conscious of what I was doing. So 18 months after I built this phenomenal business, created an entire brand in the tech industry here in Australia, I was headhunted by a tech company in California, and to run their Asia Pacific region in the capacity of VP of Sales. And again, that was a startup in Australia. The headquarters were based in Australia, and I grew that business from 4 million. They had acquired another business that was valued at 4 million, and I grew that to 54 million in 48 months with a sales team where I created every individual in my sales team, not as job descriptions, but as brands. So I knew that I could do something with that knowledge that I had gained in the previous experience. Except, Neena, like everyone else, we just think that everyone does what we do. You don't think that there's something special about that approach. You say, oh, you know what, it's everyone can do that. So in 2005, I started my entrepreneurial journey. I really wanted to have my own business. That was always my dream. There was a moment in time, again, crossing doors, a moment where I thought it's now or never. So I started my own business. I had a software company for 7 years, and that was phenomenal because that's where I really learned how to design frameworks, understand user experience. Our My company specialized in building web-based membership systems for the academic sector, so for students. And it was there was a big hole in that space, in that
Mm.
sector. So I was able to fill it. We grew an amazing business. At the 7 year mark, 3 hours after giving birth to my second son, I was laid in the hospital bed. I reached out to get my lip balm. My business card fell out. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, my whole life is driven by labels. Like this
Mm.
business card is actually defining who I am and what I am. And I didn't love that company I created. I knew that that was not my purpose. I knew it
Mm.
was a stepping stone, but I didn't love going to work every day. And after my son was born, literally 3 hours after, I knew that I would resign from my own company. 2 weeks later, I resigned from my own company. My accountants were freaking out. I mean, I was running a business that was turning over 7 figures a year. I had
Right.
infrastructure. And he's like, what are you doing? Like, are you,
Right.
this is hormonal. I said, oh no, this is not hormonal.
Hormonal. Right.
This is a moment, and I'm going to take this moment. So what happened, Nina, is I took 12 months sabbatical in all of 2012. I literally just walked away from everything that I would
Wow.
call my reality: friends, credit cards, social circles, like, I mean, everything. I literally locked myself in my home and I had to go and find me. And in that 12 months, I had two amazing mentors. One was a professor in philosophy, the other one was a teacher in the emotional body. But the professor in philosophy opened my mind. It was in that 12-month period where I started to unpack all of my natural state of being. What am I in my natural state of being? Who am I? What can
Mm.
I do with ease and grace? And when I was able to admit, as simple as anyone can do right now, that hang on a minute, I'm actually really good at sales. I'm really good at designing algorithms, frameworks, understanding consumer behavior in the digital standpoint, understanding how to build software from back to front, understanding what the consumer wants, and building a product for the consumer. And also, I also understood personal branding. So when I was able to merge those three things together, the next logical question was, can I solve a problem based on that
Right.
inventory? And the
Right.
answer was hell yeah. And
Right.
so that's when I then took the next leap. And it took me 3 years, Nina, 3 years to design my program, the frameworks to support it, because I really wanted an outcome driven solution. I didn't want to create personal branding based on colors and, all these fame, get rich quick scheme type of a mindset. I wanted to create a way where I could commercialize it. That was my goal. And
Mm.
3 years later, 2015 was when I actually transitioned into full coaching.
Wow. Wow, that's a really great story. And so do you think that that 12-month time, because you were talking about digital space, right? But then you got into the human element, right? Do you think the 12 months of really trying to find yourself was what made you realize, okay, there's something here where people really need to find themselves for me to solve this problem? Is that part of the journey for you?
Absolutely. I did not realize the importance of unpacking myself. I actually
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
realize it, because what happens, Nina, we're all on the hamster wheel,
Mhm,
especially those
mhm.
of us that are in corporate. Even when you leave corporate, the mind shift requires a lot of effort. You
So
actually have
true.
to stop and you have to detach, because being an entrepreneur is not the same as being a VP of sales in a corporation where you've got an
Right,
entire infrastructure to support you. When
right.
you're an entrepreneur, you're on your own. You've
Mhm.
got to go and find a tribe of people that are going to support you and balance you out. Because what happens as well, Nina, is that a lot of, and this is certainly my situation, is when you're in corporate, in my situation, I had a big team. So my team could balance me out. I could be masculine. There were feminine energies. We all could balance each other out. I could delegate. People can do things that I didn't want to do, that I wasn't good at. I'm not a good micromanager. So in my own business, it was me. I had no tribe that could
Right.
balance me out. So I was showing up in my entrepreneurial journey at the beginning as masculine energy. It was like, go, 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 fight, 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 win, win, win. And that
Right.
doesn't work in the entrepreneurial journey. So when that 12-month period was so critical for me, because it was literally unpeeling the layers of who, what is my purpose? Like, what
Yeah.
does that really mean?
That's not
And
easy.
exactly. But what I realized is that a purpose lies in the things that you can do with ease and grace. That's actually where purpose lies.
Hmm. Hmm.
To see our knowledge, wisdom, and skill set as internal inventory, then we can see it as real currency. I call that true currency.
Hmm.
So yes, to your answer your question in the long form, I think that it's very important to get off the hamster wheel and just be in a space where you can, you don't have to leave your job and
I
just
was gonna ask
and
that. Right. Right.
hibernate. I think that what we have to do is we've got to create a structure around us that gives us permission to, give that aspect of ourself time.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what, Mary, that's so powerful. And I want, all of you guys who are listening to understand she did say you don't have to leave your job. Just letting you guys know that. Because you know what? I think it's we don't know how to pause, Mary. We don't know how to pause, and I don't, I know for a lot of the women, because I do have a really active audience, which is fantastic. And
Yes,
we talk a lot, and I see that they're go-getters too. I have also that very masculine energy where I'm like, we got to win. It has to be right. This is what we're doing, right? I climb the ladder very quickly in everything that I do because that's just how I'm built, right? But
yes.
you're right about the entrepreneur part, because you do have to take a pause, right? Was that scary for you to take that pause? Was it something that you went through and were like, "Oh, wait, I'm not good at X." Like how did you start to go from, "Okay, I'm doing this on my own," to building out your team? What was that strategy for you?
I think that the key we have to remember is that you, being on your own is also a choice as well, right? So
Right, right.
because the
That's
thing is
good.
that I
Yeah.
could have actually reached out and created a tribe in my entrepreneurial journey. It wasn't that hard. It's just that I think that I had the mindset, like a lot of women, especially, and men. I can do it on my own. I don't need
Mhm,
anyone's help.
mhm.
Like I'm going to prove to everyone I can do it on my own. But that actually is actually quite dangerous,
Yeah.
because we really have got to look at that from the standpoint of being in an expansive energy field. More, two, three, four, 10 minds are far more powerful than one. I've always said that. When you're building a team in a corporation, remember, it's different. You've got an infrastructure to back you. It's a very different approach. You've got a whole different system to back you. You've got funds, you've got money, you're receiving your salary on the 15th of every month,
Right,
guaranteed. When you're
right.
on the entrepreneurial journey, we've got to create that income. We've got to create the team. And what I love about where we've arrived now in 2022 is it's so easy to build a team, Neena. You don't need an infrastructure. There's virtual assistants in abundance that are
Yeah, yeah.
outstanding at their skill set. I have 4 assistants that surround me that take on very specific tasks that I need them to do. I don't want one person doing 10 things. I want
Right,
one
right.
person to do one specific thing because they're really good at
So
that.
good. Yeah.
And I think that's the mindset we have to embrace. We don't need one person that can do everything and burn them out. No. Even
Right.
when I was in my corporate life and I had a massive sales team, it was the same mindset. It was like, you are really into fashion and you're in the vibe of what's happening right now. This portfolio is going to be a perfect match for you,
Mhm,
because when
mhm.
you and that client get together, guess what? You're going to start from a like-minded zone. That's
Right.
going to be really easy for you to sell. That was my mindset, and nothing's changed since that. So I think that when we're building teams, we don't have to go and look at an infrastructure that's going to cost us an arm and a leg. It's looking at individuals who can take on tasks to make it easy for us.
Yeah, that's so good, Mary, because that's funny because one of my VAs was like, oh, what, I can do that too, and I can do that too, and I said, no, 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 I don't need one person to do 50 things because that's not going to serve me at all. And if
No.
you go down for the count, or I can't get in contact with you, you have 50 things of mine that I need done. I can't do that, right? But
Right.
that's really wise, and I love that you said that, and because I'm always telling all of these entrepreneurs that come to me, or all these CEOs, I'm always like, you have to build a village. It's going to take a village. You can't do it alone. Just the same way, like you said earlier, we can't even do it alone when we're getting that paycheck on the 15th from that company that we're on. We
Yeah.
need a team. Same thing. So, Mary, I want to ask you, how do you take your client? So, let's say someone calls you, they want to work with you. What's your journey with that client?
And well, this is the interesting thing, Nina, that journey that I had in that 12-month sabbatical, I completely frameworked that, because what was
Awesome.
interesting about that 12-month journey, it wasn't about just having conversations with a professor and philosopher, every day and talking about Socrates and Plato and all that sort of wonderful, conversations, which I could go on forever. But the
Right.
thing is that it was, it was his approach to unpacking me, to unraveling the true core Mary. That was the goal. And I'm thinking to myself, where is this guy taking me? But we did a very profound exercise. He said, I want you, Mary, I want you to write about your life story in the first 21 years of your life in first person. I'm like, how do I know what happened to me at one? He said,
Right, right.
he said, let the soul write for you. Don't you write. This is not a linear exercise. I'm like, well, this guy's lost the plot. What is wrong with this guy? Like, where is he taking me? Like, seriously?
Right.
I'm going to write a story about the first 21 years of my in first person. Like, okay. So I get off this call and I'm thinking, I get the journal out and I've got, and he says, and you must write in a lead pencil. You must. And I'm like, this is now going to a whole place that I've never been
Right.
before. And
That's funny.
I get the journal out and I'm trying to write. Today I was born, and I'm like, well, I don't understand what this means. So it took me, and we kept on meeting every week. And he goes, how's your story going? I said, it's still going. I haven't even, I can't start it. I didn't even know where to start. Don't
Right,
worry,
right,
it will
right.
happen. Anyway, it took about 3 weeks. It was like at 2 o'clock in the morning. I had this, this moment. I'm like, I've got to write the story. I just have to write the story.
Mm.
So I opened the journal, grabbed my grey lead pencil, sitting in the dark, 2 o'clock in the morning with a little light. And Nina, I start writing. And I can't stop. But it wasn't even writing. It was
Mm.
it was like something came over me. I, I, I was writing. I didn't know what I was writing. It was the hand, something was writing. But I wrote so much that 2 o'clock in the morning till 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning. I kept on writing, and then the flow just started happening. Now, I finished that first 21 years of my life. In fact, I actually went to the first 30 years of my life. And being a tech person, of course, I have to take that information and put on an Excel spreadsheet because I wanted to see patterns, right? I mean,
Right, of
who
course.
would do that? Who would do that? It's just almost veering on psychotic, right? So I get the Excel spreadsheet, I start dumping all this information, but I was interested in the information that I was writing by year. I was looking at things like, how was I feeling? What was happening at that time? Was I happy? Was I sad? Just really basic stuff. But you know what was so important about that exercise is that I did see patterns. Suddenly I could see when things were going really great for me, that they would evoke very positive emotions, but also I was doing something that I loved or I was good at. And I could see this
Mm.
passion emerging. So now I'm looking at this thing thinking, oh God, when I was doing performing arts, when I was singing, I had private singing, voice coaching since the age of 5. Every time I could put singing in there or dancing or anything to do with performing arts, oh my God, you could see the light just going, light bulbs,
Right,
light bulbs. So I'm looking at this spreadsheet. I'm like, so what? Now I've got to go back and be a singer at like the
right,
age of 30. Like, where
right,
that's just
right.
not going to go down too well, So, but then I thought, hang on a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Uh, that was my talent. That the talent was singing. The gift was the voice. What
Mm,
the hell am I
mm.
going to do with the gift? because I
That's
can
awesome.
channel the gift in another way. So
Yeah.
I started to unpack all of these moving
So
parts, my
good.
values, attributes, all the attributes. And then I took that and I converted that into an actual algorithm. It is a software now. It's a SaaS system. It's amazing. And what I do with people is I take them through that process first and foremost. Why do I take them through that process? Because I want to know who you are in your natural state of being. I want to know what your values are. I want to know your gifts. I want to know your talents. I need to understand what your drivers are so that when we're
So
creating
good.
or branding architecture,
Yeah.
it's the truth. It's the
Right. I
brand
was just gonna say
truth.
that. Yeah. It's
You
authentic.
know, it's
Right.
authentic.
Right.
Otherwise, if you say to me, "I want to be like Oprah" or "I want to be like J Lo," I'll be like, "I don't know how to create you as J Lo when you haven't got J Lo. I don't even know who J Lo is. I don't know what her attributes are. Like,
Right.
why can't I just create you as you, the way that you were intended to
Mhm,
be
mhm.
created?" And then that's part one. Then part two, Nina, is I look at the inventory. Tell me about your knowledge, wisdom, and skills. I want to know what you can do with ease and grace. Tell me everything, even if it's playing tennis, cooking. I don't care. Just tell me anything that you can do with ease and grace. So I collect all of that internal inventory because to me that's currency.
Yeah.
And then I look at that and I say, okay, with that, we can create a solution to this problem. So then again, we get the Excel spreadsheet and I start to lay out all of that inventory into an actual program that can solve a problem for a business or a human being.
Wow.
And it targets a very, very specific problem. And that's part two. Part three is then we do all the digitalization part. So we start to digitize the actual brand and the experience that we want the prospect to have when they land on my digital assets, my website, my strategy calls, my social media content, the sales process, everything for me must be experiential. And the final part is wrapping all of that with a layered lead generation strategy. Because remember what I said at the beginning, if you can't commercialize your personal brand, what is it? What is
Right.
it?
Right.
I can't build my personal brand. I can only define it. But if I give all of my prospects and my clients an ecstatic Mary Henderson brand experience, guess what? They're going to build my brand and it
Yeah.
makes my life very, very easy. So, all of these moving parts are critical moving parts in my
Yeah.
methodology. And that's the process that I would take somebody through.
Yeah, and that sounds really powerful because it's very different than just hiring someone, let's say on Fiverr to do
Yeah.
your personal branding, right? Because I love that, Mary, and that's why I said authentic because it is very, very hard to live up to something that's not authentically you. It's really easy for me to say to you, yeah, I'm gonna be the next Spanish Oprah, Mary, right? But if I don't have, that authenticity to guide me through that,
Yeah.
then the truth is I'm never gonna come off authentically. And it's gonna be kind of like your story in the beginning when you're like, I don't even like the business I built.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that sucks, right? When you get to that point and you're like, oh man, I built this business. It's very successful. I don't even like it. Right.
Well, Nina,
So,
it becomes an uphill battle. That's
yeah,
the problem. So you're
yeah,
constantly going against the grain and you're like, what's wrong with me? Then you go into self-doubt. That causes other issues.
right.
So so it's
Yeah.
it's it's not we don't have to go against the grain. We can go with the grain. We just need to know how to do it.
Yeah, and it's a very strategic way to do it, Mary, because to get somebody to go through all of those steps and to really come out to authentically who you are, because a lot of us struggle with that, right? Like you even said, the self doubt and all that, because we do have self doubt and we have imposter syndrome and we have all of that. And so
Yeah.
when somebody's when you hear a lot of compliments about the same quality, you don't even believe that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You start to even question that, even though 20 people have complimented you on that same thing, right? Do you find that as well?
Absolutely. I mean, look, the thing is, at the end of the day, if we don't show up authentically, and I mean, this is my philosophy on authenticity, and it's a bit woo woo, but I really really love this explanation. It's like, Nina, you would know if I was not authentic, not because of
Right.
what I say or how I show up
No,
physically,
it's the
but it's
energy.
like
Yeah.
Yes, our souls are also having a conversation, and that's invisible. I
Mhm.
can't see your soul, you can't see me, but you can feel me.
Mhm.
You know if I'm authentic. It just comes down to that one feeling that
So true.
something's not right. I'm
Mhm.
not connecting with this person, or whatever. That to me is where authenticity lives. It's that when I can feel, it's like the moment you and I got on this call, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be, I already
Yeah.
know that this is going to be
Me
amazing.
too.
Already, right? In the
Thank you.
first
I
like
did too. Yeah.
millionth of a second, I was like, yep, this is like next level. So, but that's because I felt that soul connection immediately. And
Right. Right.
on social media, it's even more important to come across as
Yeah.
authentic because
Yeah.
the noise on social media
Yeah.
is getting louder and louder. So our job as content creators, as business owners who want to serve, that's why
Mhm.
we do this.
Mhm.
We want to serve on a much bigger scale. We have to figure out how to, on one hand, be strategic and deliberate
Right.
because we don't want to waste time. And on the other hand, we also need to understand how to be authentically and unapologetically ourselves. We
Mhm.
need to feel comfortable saying what other people are not comfortable in saying and be
Yeah.
able to own that. And when we can own that, that's when we start to pull people into our ecosystem. And this is another important thing, Neena, is that when I take people through that process, the purpose of it is at the end of the journey is that I want them to create a pull strategy, not a push strategy. There's
Mm.
no need to go against the grain. I want them to flow with the grain so they can
Right.
start drawing attention.
That's so good. And it's not even just the energy with other people. You know yourself. Like when you're trying to be something else. And I was going through that towards the beginning of my journey as a creator. I've been doing
Yeah.
about 3, 4 years. And in the beginning, I was like, oh, can't really say that. Oh, can't really. And then one day I said, you know what, screw you guys. You don't want you don't like what I have to say. That's your problem, not mine. And then I just started to be as authentic as I possibly know how to be.
Yeah.
And I still think there's a lot more work to do, Mary, because I think a lot of times I did write my autobiography, so I was very strategic and making sure I timelined my whole life and
Yes.
actually went through each thing. It was very cathartic. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? And I found
Yes.
myself. I think I found myself. I say I think because there's still stuff in me that I know I'm not
Yes.
tapping into yet. Do you ever feel that, Mary? Do you ever feel like there's something in you still that you still want to reach for?
Oh my God, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
if I'm not growing every day, there's something fundamentally wrong with me. That's
right.
me.
I love that.
That's me being dead. I mean, I am a massive, massive advocate of growth. Like,
Mhm.
everything about me is all about self growth. I invest in, my mind coach. I invest in books. I invest in audios. I mean, I am totally, I invest in understanding new technologies. My I've got a technology team. We're always pushing the boundaries. How can I do this? How can I do this? How, this is what I'm trying to achieve. Let's reverse engineer it. And I think that if we don't do that, we what happens? Let's think about this for a moment. We are in a digital economy. Okay.
Yeah.
On one hand, it's exciting. On the other hand, it's very scary. And the
Mhm.
reason I say that is because if we are not growing in the digital economy, we will be redundant. I guarantee you. So
Yeah.
we always have to be 10 steps ahead because the other thing around, unpacking who you are as a brand and who and what you can solve in terms of your internal inventory and commercializing that means that you can future proof your career for the rest of your life because no one can take away your internal
Yeah.
inventory. And it
So
gets
true.
better and better with time.
Yeah.
It doesn't depreciate. We just don't know how to do it. That's our
Mhm.
problem. But if we
Yeah.
were taught in school that that's the true currency, could you imagine the world that we would live in? Just think
Yeah.
about that. Instead of being brainwashed and, on all this nonsense that goes on in the school system, wouldn't it be amazing if we were taught that now, children, your knowledge, wisdom, and skills is the greatest
Yeah.
currency that you can own. That's what you need to be focused on. What society do you think that we would be living in? So,
Yeah.
what
It's
I say to
amazing.
my clients, you must understand that that is currency. So, it plays such a big, big role.
Yeah, well, it can't be taken away from you, right, Mary? I mean, maybe your house or your car, whatever can be taken away, but your wisdom and your authenticity of who you are cannot be taken away except for Alzheimer's. That's the only thing that could take it away, or death,
Well, Nina, the
right?
other thing is that also, can I just mention here that, what do people buy from us? Realistically, it's very simple.
Us. Yeah,
They buy our wisdom.
yeah,
That's what they're
yeah.
buying.
Mhm.
You ain't got wisdom. I can't bring anything to the table if I don't come
Yeah,
from a place of wisdom. And one of my clients yesterday, she was saying, "I feel a little bit intimidated. I'm in a think tank. They're all much younger than me. What do you think?" And I said, "A younger, how much wisdom do they
right.
have based on experienced knowledge? Just
Mhm,
putting it out there." And she's like,
mhm.
"Well, none. Who holds the power? You or them?" You hold the power. The client wants your wisdom. They don't care how you look, whether you're 21, with the body of the year. They're not interested in that. They've got a problem. They need it solved.
Right. Oh, I love that. Mary, I don't want to let you go. I love that. I love that. So I want you to I mean, this is such a great conversation, really. I really love the process of how you're taking people through this. I really, really do. I've talked to personal branding people before, but never at this level where they're taking people through this process. And that's amazing. Honestly, Mary, great work. Great work.
Yeah, thank you.
And I know that my my listeners are probably at the edge of their seats. So you need to give us how they can contact you, follow you, work with you, all that great stuff. So give us that information, please.
Absolutely. Please feel free to email me, mary@maryhendersoncoaching.com. My website is maryhendersoncoaching.com. You can get me on LinkedIn, Mary Henderson Coaching, Instagram, Mary Henderson Coaching,
I
and
love it.
Facebook, Mary Henderson Coaching as well.
Awesome. So good. Thank you, Mary, for being here with me. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Nina. I appreciate you too.
Thank you, guys. You heard it. Okay. Make sure that you follow this woman and work with her. I'm going to make sure to link all of her information below because you cannot miss this kind of opportunity, especially all of you out there who are coaches and consultants and service based, and you really want to know who you really are so that you can show up as your best self all the time, which all of you know that is a huge challenge when you don't know who authentically you are. So this was an amazing conversation. I'm super stoked. I want you guys to make sure you follow, and make sure you follow here too. Like, share, subscribe. You know all the deal. I love you guys so much, and we will talk soon. This is Neena Perez, Straight Talk, no sugar added. Until next time.
This broadcast is brought to you by Winject Studios. We are an all-in-one educational platform for podcasters that revolutionizes how hosts leverage content to increase engagement with listeners, downloads, and income. We come together to focus on community, collaboration, and collective impact. For more information on how you can interact directly with our hosts, access exclusive live content with offers you can't get anywhere else from our official partners, join our purpose-driven community by visiting www.winject.com. If you're ready to build a career doing what you love, then we're ready to see you there.